If you're a coach, time management can be essential to the success of your coaching practice. So I'm really excited to have Kathleen Spike. She's an MCC and she's been coaching for nearly 25 years now. So before the ICF was even around. So Kathleen was around for the beginning of the ICF, and she's really got a great method. And she knows a lot about being efficient with time. She's got a great coaching practice. And so today we're going to be asking her questions about time. So Kathleen, thank you so much for joining us. Maybe you could just say hi and tell us a tiny little bit about your coaching practice.
Hi, everybody. Well, I like to coach decision makers and people who are after more success or more confidence with success. And so I attract a lot of professionals and corporate and business people, and because they want to accomplish things. And so I'm big into accomplishment and love that. And so that's in a nutshell what I do every day.
Wonderful. So we're going to dig right into time. I've got a lot of questions about time. And if there's something where you're like, oh yeah, your question, oh, just missed this, just feel free to throw in some extra for us. So let's start with the first simple question. How long are your coaching sessions?
My coaching sessions vary based on the needs of the client. However, basically they are 40 minutes or 1 hour on a regular basis. That is not in startup. I do a 2 to 3 hour startup meeting, and then the client and I decide which works best for them, phone, Skype, or in person sometimes. 40 minutes the first 3 weeks of the month, or 1 hour twice a month. And so that's the basics.
So you meet with your clients 3 times a month or 2 times a month, but not 4 times a month?
Never. I take the last week of the month off always. I do makeups then. I do marketing, admin, or I play.
Well, that's wonderful. Yeah, you definitely have to have a time when you're either playing or you're working on the business, not in the business. So I'm glad that we caught that point there, that and you structure it into your monthly schedule. I love that.
Absolutely. In the last week off of coaching of the month, the 4th week is always off for me, or makeups, or very flexible. I had to learn or have the confidence that I could do that. And I was coached into that by a very top coach who convinced me through coaching. I convinced myself that I could take the risk to take off that 4th week and live and still make money. And I've done it for like 22 years.
Why don't we dig in a little bit to your training? Because I know a lot of this comes from your background before coaching and also your training. Let us know who you trained with and how time management fits into that.
So I was trained at the Coaches Training Institute back in late 93 and 94. And those folks really created a structure for us to step into as coaches so that we understood how to do a coaching session, how to communicate to the client around time and around structure. And I will forever be grateful to CTI for setting me up to win. And I also had a really great coach that I had hired who was also a CTI trained coach. And they reinforced that and helped me build my practice according to how CTI envisioned it. And I'm forever grateful to them.
What was it that you did before coaching? Because I think you bring some special skills. This is why I wanted to have you on specifically to talk about this, is you've mastered this whole time thing. So what were you doing before coaching?
I was in the clothing and textiles industry, and I was actually a designer and a custom clothier. I manufactured one-of-a-kind items, and in order to make money, I had to learn how to do lean manufacturing practices so that I could maximize the bottom line on every garment that I designed. And so I studied lean manufacturing on my own. I didn't get a Six Sigma black belt or anything, but I studied it and I learned that every motion is worth money. And so I learned how to conserve motion, to enhance motion, and time it correctly, so then things were more profitable. I came from a business background, have a degree in business, and I've taught all over the world to the clothing and textiles world how to make money in a business, specifically manufacturing one of a fine clothing.
That's interesting. I didn't know completely your background. I know that you're always very well dressed. So now I've got a little bit of background as to why.
Thanks, right.
Why don't we talk about the end of the coaching session? Do you ever go over time? How do you signal to your client that it's coming up on that 40 minutes or that 1 hour?
First of all, it's about me setting the client up correctly in the startup of the coaching so that they understand how we do time here as coach and client. And so that's a big conversation in startup. And they're very well aware. It's written into a contract that I have with them that if they come late, the session is shortened accordingly. We end at the same time. They actually miss all their coaching if they don't show up on time. I don't go over. And the reason I don't or can't go over is I have other clients stacked behind them. So honoring everybody, I'm not going to make anybody late or miss their time by not honoring time. So everybody also is instructed that people have breakdowns in coaching calls, and sometimes a breakthrough, and it might be at the last 5 minutes of the call. And so if clients are calling me or Skyping or showing up in person and I don't answer the door, the phone or Skype, they know she's going over. I'm supposed to call in 5 minutes. So that's unusual. It doesn't happen often, but sometimes there are serious breakdowns. Somebody might have a death in their family. I have to get the client to a place where I can let them go and they're going to be stable. And so everybody knows I've never gone over 5 minutes. That is the rule of the road with my coaching and going over.
I love how you put that there are breakthroughs or breakdowns that can happen at that last possible moment. You said that's very rare. What is your methodology to make sure that you're getting close and they understand that it's not their job to pay attention to the time.
No.
That's part of your job. How do you manage that time near the end?
I'm watching the clock always and pacing the coaching with them so that I'm, in a way, I'm not playing the instrument. I'm the director and they're playing the instrument called coaching, so to speak, like a symphony. And when I see it's quarter of the hour, I let them know. It's like, okay, we're quarter of our time. It's like we need to be ready to wrap things up in 15 minutes. And they're like, oh, okay, yes, got it. Because they are in their world. And so then I'll say, okay, we've got about 3 minutes left. And they're like, okay, here's what I want you to hold for me. Here's what I want us to do. And I'm like, okay, and then I might challenge them. What if you went bigger? Are you sure you're stretching enough? We have those fun conversations at the end around accountability. And I'm like, okay, you good to go? Then they'll say, yes. Oh, darn, it's over so soon. Yes, it is. So I'll talk to you next week. And then boom, I'm done.
There we go. Yeah, I like that. So essentially when you're getting close to the end and then really close to the end, you're doing a check-in. But of course, as a coach, you're managing the call to make sure you're going through the different phases all along.
Absolutely.
Yeah, making sure that it gets to the specific point.
Another thing that I do, and you may have seen me do this in some coaching, Brighton, that you've watched me do, is I make an agreement up front with clients that if they get into story and it's getting down to the time, I will raise my hand. I'm like, client, I need to interrupt here. And they're like, oh. And I'm like, we're getting close to time. So can you bottom line this for me?
Yes, I've seen you coach, and I've definitely seen you break in, asking permission to stop them from going into their story because it's not the best use of time.
Sometimes I don't need to hear the whole story.
Exactly. Yes.
And I was trained to do this by CTI. This is a CTI skill. Mm-hmm. So it's called bottom lining.
Bottom lining. I like it. Are you going with your hour-long segments? Are they scheduled with 0 minutes in between, or do you have 40-minute segments? Is there in a 40-minute segment after that? Is there a 20-minute break, or how does that work?
A 40-minute segment, there is usually a 5-minute break, and then I'll go into a quarter of. I do a lot of 1-hour meetings because I'm working with people who have big, complicated, gnarly things that they're working through and that I'm coaching. So by and large, let's just say I'm on the hour and stop my client and wind them down the last 5 minutes because another call is coming on the hour.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I'm able to do that. A lot of people are not comfortable with that. Easy as pie for me. I have huge capacity. This is the meaning as a coach. And this is, all I'm doing is coaching. They're doing all the work. And so I'm showing up, knowing how to coach, help them maneuver where they're going. But if I do a 40-minute, there might be a 20-minute lag. It just depends.
Yeah, that helps me to understand kind of how those spaces are going.
I also make it work out for me. I'm the coach. I make my life work also. Coaches, one of the things to really understand is you have the right to do time, have integrity with your own time, honor and respect your own time, because if you do, then your client will be better able to do it for themselves if they learn that you're doing time. It's a great model for others around time.
That's true. As a coach, you can set the example for your clients.
Yeah, and it's really about integrity.
Yeah, and I think you actually touched on something there. I'm going to go a little bit off course, and that is about the emotional stability as a coach, is that you are holding the space, but after 24 plus years of doing this, hopefully earlier than that you got to not take on your clients' burdens for them, which would make it so that you would need time afterwards to decompress and before you can move on.
I was heavily trained at CTI, and remember, I've kept a coach every year of my existence. If I have any flaws or any breakdowns, I have backup. I have a coach. I'm also a high performance person. I don't get wrapped up in my clients' problems. I hold them strong, capable, and whole. Yes, we're working on gnarly things sometimes. I don't carry it with me. I have really super boundaries that were properly trained into me by CTI and my coach. And she was a management consultant, so she brought a lot of skill sets too to my coaching. I don't get tired from coaching. I have a good system. I have integrity with myself and I don't get maudlin or wrapped up in my clients' woes. I just hold them big and capable.
I know I've used the word time management. I know that's not one of your favorite words. Why don't you tell us about your kind of theory behind time management, or time management not?
Time management not. Well, it is my mantra because everybody has 24 hours. We all have the same amount of time. What it really is self-management with time. So it's very important to not get stuck in the idea that you're managing time. You're actually needing to manage yourself with your client and their time and yours. So getting clear and the courage to just say no to yourself. No, don't go over. Your integrity with yourself must get into gear here. Hold your client strong, capable, and whole around time. And so it's all about integrity and self-management to me.
I know you have a little tool that you have in your office. If people are there in person, they get to see it too. Why don't you tell us about it and share a little bit? Let's see that too.
Okay. Here's my little 1950s clock. I bought it because I love it. I do like beautiful things around me, being a designer and so on. This little guy sits on the wall right where the client can see it, and I can see it, and it's visible, and we just do time with this. We literally honor this little clock. And clients are watching it throughout the meeting. They're pacing themselves because they know I also am pacing myself. So they get the hang of it, and it's just huge integrity around time for me and my clients.
Yes, exactly. And I think you mentioned they've got a clock on their computer. As long as you're making it easy to see a clock, I guess that's one of the things too. Sometimes when the clock is in a weird spot, you're like, okay, I'm having this conversation, but I want to look at the clock. But
it's so easy. It's just right where they are looking. And when we're doing Skype, the time is right there. Oftentimes it's phone. People can look at their phone. So yeah, it's just about integrity and self-management, bottom line, actually.
Yes, definitely. So why don't we get wrapped up here? But I want your kind of final piece of advice for new coaches or younger coaches or people thinking about, building a coaching business.
The number one thing I would say is get your own coach and have them help you up level to the courage that you need to actually run a business like this and be successful, being isolated and alone is a recipe for failure. I would say that. Join your coaching association so you can get training, free training, or for a small amount of money. Be around other coaches who are successful. Ask for help. If you're not feeling confident around time management or anything, raise your hand. Lots of coaches will help you. And bottom line, get your own coach.
Real quickly, I want to see if you are that coach for someone out there, if someone's really resonating with you, Kathleen. Why don't we put up your contact information here? So tell folks how they could get in touch with you if you're accepting new clients.
Right now, I am taking 3 or 4 new clients. I have more time in my life because my husband passed away a year ago. Lucky that I have this beautiful work that I get to do and serve humanity with it. So I am taking 3 or 4 new clients. My website is coachingworksinc.com. And then my email is spike@coachingworksinc.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn, just Kathleen Spike. So that's pretty much how to reach me.
Well, thank you for mentioning Jacques, because I think that's key here is that being a coach, we do have that flexibility. You spent a lot of time taking care of Jacques in his final number of years.
Yes.
He was a powerful man himself, so you were very, very much a power couple.
Yes.
It's good that you were able to maybe slow down your coaching practice a little bit.
Yeah.
So that you had more time for him, but now you're able to take some time now that I know you've been grieving for a bit.
Yeah.
Adjust that.
I'm excited because I love this work and I love to see people learn, change, and achieve. And so I'm really grateful for the work of coaching, and I'm grateful for how coaching is getting into the fabric of our society. So all coaches will have more work as we go forward.
Yes, I agree. I think coaching is definitely a growing industry. That's why I'm here working with y'all. And plus, I just love you guys, and I love seeing you in person. We do go to the same ICF chapter here in Oregon. We see each other often. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge of time management for coaches. And if you are a coach that is looking, hopefully if you've made it to this point in the video, hopefully you're a coach and you want more advice from other coaches, I'm going to put a video right up here where you can go and check out some more advice for coaches. Thank you so much, Kathleen.
Oh, thank you, Brighton. You know, I'm a fan of yours and all the great work you do with coaches around the country. You're doing us all a really beautiful service. Thank you so much.
Wonderful.